I am an American soldier.
I'm a warrior and a member of a team.
I serve the people of the United States and live the Army values.
I will always place this first.
I will never accept defeat.
I will never accept defeat.
I will never quit.
I will never leave a fallen comrade.
I am disciplined.
I am disciplined.
Physically and mentally tough.
Trained and proficient in my warrior tasks and drills.
I always maintain my arms, my equipment, and myself.
I am an expert and I am a professional.
I stand ready to deploy, engage, and destroy the
enemies of the United States of America in close combat.
I am a guardian of freedom and the American way of life.
I am an American soldier.
I am an American soldier.
I am an American soldier.
There's strong, and there's Army Strong. See what it takes at GoArmy.com.
Sometimes riders feel lost, unsure why a passage may not be working. It takes another set of eyes to help us nurture our writing into full maturity. At Black Wolf Editorial Services, we strive to enable writers to develop and grow, offering manuscript critiques and line edits through a mentoring editorial style. We also offer assistance on generating a writer's bio for your websites. Black Wolf Editorial Services, nurturing your writing into maturity. For a full list of services, visit blackwolfeditorial.com.
Hey folks, I want to introduce you to a friend of mine, Dr. Richard Harden. We are on the same mission, which is waking up America. We just have different paths. So stay tuned for some information on how you can keep up with Richard and all his work.
Visit Richard's website at raharden.com. That's the World Wide Web at RAHARDIN.com. At his website, you can see a summary of the 6 books he has written, where purchases may be made. He also has a link to 18 videos on YouTube and several blogs about Christian beliefs. If you prefer, visit Amazon.com/Kindle and type in Richard Harden to see and purchase his books.
Every day, the men and women of the United States Marine Corps stand ready to defend the American way of life. The few, the proud, the Marines.
The following message contains a special offer for listeners of this station. Are you a man over 40? Are you constantly looking for the nearest bathroom? Do you wake up multiple times a night to use the bathroom? Right now, Perfect Prostate is sending out free bottles of their groundbreaking new formula to listeners of this station. Perfect Prostate Formula was developed by medical doctor Mitchell Fleischer, and its ingredients have been clinically studied to reduce your frequent nighttime bathroom visits and promote healthy urine flow. Right now, preferred customers get their first bottle of Perfect Prostate absolutely free. There's nothing to lose. Perfect Prostate is guaranteed to reduce that constant urge to use the bathroom, especially at night, and promote healthy urine flow. Don't wait. Call now for your free bottle. Just pay shipping and processing. Dial 1-800-675-0251. That's 1-800-675-0251. Supplies are limited. One free bottle per household. Call now. Dial 1-800-675-0251. That's 1-800-675-0251.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
You're listening to the Spark Radio Network, internet radio like you've never heard before. Innovation, creativity, and imagination are all said to begin with a spark. So fasten your seatbelt and take the ride of your life and listen for the spark.
You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
My name is Jessie. I'm a United States Special Forces widow. This gives me a unique perspective on the world around us. If you're willing to listen, I'll tell you how I see it. I won't pull any punches. This is my POV, which stands for point of view.
All right, this is Jessie. How y'all doing out there today? And if you've looked at the clock, you know this is going to be a short show because I got to be off at the top of the hour to make way for the Stafford voice, and he's having a special guest on with him tonight, aka Politobunny. Oh yes, and I can't wait to hear it. So we're going to do about 15 minutes, give you the quick wrap up, and then who knows, maybe I'll sneak in a longer one tomorrow or see what I can do to make it all work. Let's start at the top. Secretary of Defense Mattis. Yes, Secretary of Defense Mattis just got back from his first international trip as Secretary of Defense. Where'd he go? South Korea and Japan. And I believe I already played a couple of these clips, but we are going to play one of them again. Yes, I have audio clips from both. I'm just not quite so sure about the Japan clips, but we're going to make it work, folks, don't we always? All right, here's Secretary of Defense Mattis talking about deploying THAAD in South Korea.
Due to North Korea's threatening rhetoric and destabilizing behavior, we are taking defensive steps like deploying the highly effective THAAD anti-missile unit to the Republic of Korea to protect its people and our troops that stand beside our ally.
All right. Now, we've discussed THAAD, Terminal High Altitude Aerial Defense. South Korea already has Patriot missile batteries. Both theirs and ours, I might add. And the demilitarized zone, aka the border between North and South Korea, is manned by a number of troops from a number of countries, mostly US and South Korea, but North Korea is there too. Literally, you can see on the ground where the 38th parallel is. They've marked it. There's a raised concrete step on it, blah, blah, blah. I have done the USO JSA tour. JSA, Joint Secure Area. It's a very interesting tour. If you ever get a chance to take it, I highly recommend it. All right. Now, Mattis came back, and cute side note on this, just a cute side note. I was watching the video of Mattis leaving either South Korea or Japan, don't remember which. You're going to have to bear with me on that one. And he carried his own bags onto the plane, and some of the news media were actually kind of amused at that. Yes, he is that down-to-earth of a person. He will carry his own bags. Thank you very much. Moving right along. Let's see how I did on grabbing that the audio clip of Secretary of Defense Mattis in Japan. I don't have it marked, so I'm going off memory here.
For Japan's peace and security, and for the entire region's peace and stability and prosperity.
Nope, that's a reporter's question. Hang on, bear with me just a second here. Let's see what this is.
Agreed to cooperate to ensure stable stationing of U.S.
That's actually a translator, sorry. Let's see what we have. This looks like a good spot to try. Taking my best guesses here, folks, because I don't have this as well marked as I normally do.
Next, we'd like to have a question from the U.S. side, please.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. It's Robert Burns of Associated Press. The White House a few days ago said that it was putting Iran on notice. The question is, on notice for what? And as Defense Secretary, are you going to put more military muscle behind those words, for example, by deploying a second aircraft carrier to the Gulf or making other military contingency moves? Otherwise, aren't those just empty words to put them on notice? And if I may ask you in a related question, you've said earlier, including at your confirmation hearing, that you felt that the counter-ISIL campaign should be accelerated. I'm wondering, as it pertains to recapturing Raqqa, would this possibly involve sending more U.S. troops to Syria? And if I may ask a question of Minister Inada, you mentioned in your opening statement that Japan intends to increase and strengthen its role in the alliance. Is Japan prepared to address U.S. concerns about contributing more financially to hosting U.S. forces in Japan? Thank you.
As far as Iran goes, this is the single biggest state sponsor of terrorism in the world. And I think it is wise to make certain that Iran recognizes that what it is doing is getting the attention of a lot of people. And we have a responsibility, along with the rest of the nations that want to maintain stability, to be absolutely clear with Iran in this regard. It does no good to ignore it. It does no good to dismiss it. And at the same time, I don't see any need to increase the number of forces we have in the Middle East at this time. That's not in the cards right now. We always have the capability to do so, but right now I don't think it's necessary. But I would also just say that we do not have a situation vis-a-vis Iran that shows respect, again, for the rules-based international order. We have seen their misconduct, their misbehavior, from Lebanon and Syria to Bahrain and to Yemen, and it's got to be addressed at some point.
Sorry, folks, was just a little late on muting my mic. So, Secretary of Defense Mattis, I'd have to say, is living up to that nickname, Mad Dog. He's not going to send more U.S. troops now, but beware, we always have that capability. Just like President Trump, he's not taking any cards off the table. Way to go, Mattis. All right, moving right along. Yeah, I've got some show prep here. We're just going to run through. The United States and Japan have conducted the first interception of a ballistic missile target using a jointly built system and heightened tensions over North Korea's missile system. This is actually pretty much breaking news. It recently hit the airwaves. The two nations have been working together since 2006 to develop a variant of the Standard Missile-3, a ship-launched missile that operates as part of the Aegis ballistic missile defense system. Friday's test off Kauai in Hawaii saw the Standard Missile-3 Block 2A successfully hit its target in space. The U.S. Missile Defense Agency commented on that. So, both U.S. and Japan are deeply concerned about North Korea. What would a story on my show, a day on my show, be without mentioning North Korea or Iran? So, of course, I have an Iran comment, but I also first, before I get to that, have something on the South China Sea. We haven't heard much about South China Sea lately, but I know I got about 5 minutes left, so we're going to shoot through this. All right. China has lodged a formal protest with the United States over a decision to impose new sanctions targeting Iran, which affect a handful of Chinese companies and individuals. And this could bring, quote-unquote, clouds of war over the South China Sea. The Iran-related sanctions were imposed Friday after Tehran conducted a ballistic missile test. They affect 25 people and entities allegedly involved in helping Iran develop its ballistic missile technology. Netanyahu, of course, is calling on quote-unquote responsible nations to sanction Iran. And he said this when he met with British Prime Minister Theresa May. Now, of course, Iran says its missile test is not a message to Trump. Iran, of course, test-fired a new ballistic missile last week, prompting Washington to impose some new sanctions on Tehran. Iran Foreign Minister spokesman Bahram Qasemi was quoted by Tasnim news agencies saying Iran missile test was not a message to the new U.S. government. There's no need to test Mr. Trump as we've heard his views on different issues in recent days. Quote unquote, we know him quite well. So, and Iran and China are responding to Trump with military drills. China and Iran, two countries that top President Trump's enemies list, are pushing back against his tough talk this week with showy and provocative military drills. Iran conducted military exercises and rolled out new weapons that its leaders said would help national defense, and China tested a new missile. Oh yeah, China is also testing missiles, folks. Don't take it for granted that they're not. Tested a new missile following Trump's Twitter assault on Beijing's expansion in the South China Sea. So, and Brigadier General Amir Ali Hazdeh, commander of the Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, said if an enemy makes a mistake, our roaring missiles will hit their targets. So who knows what is going to happen. And the Quebec mosque that was spattered with blood did open for prayers this weekend, despite there still being blood-stained walls and various other signs of the attack. They wanted to open their doors to show it is a place of peace and that they are still there for the Muslim community. All right, 2 more stories, and then guess what? I'm getting out of here. I said short show tonight, folks. I meant it. And the U.S. should expand its missile defense due to North Korea and Iran, according to U.S. Representative Mac Thornberry of Texas. And he is chairman of the House Armed Services Committee. So he wants the U.S. to invest in more missile defense technology. Thornberry's position was a sign of support in Congress for military spending to counter North Korea after President Donald Trump, during the 2016 election, raised doubts about the future U.S. funding to defend allies like South Korea and Japan. So, I'd say everybody's hearing President Trump loud and clear. Oh yes, loud and clear. Now, there's one more interesting story of note, and then we are almost out of time. A North Korean defector in Russia faces involuntary repatriation after spending years as a forced laborer. The Moscow newspaper Kommersant reported Sunday that Cho Ming-bak, a 54-year-old North Korean national, is in police custody and at risk of deportation. Cho, who'd worked as a manual laborer, escaped state surveillance for some time and remarried an ethnic Korean woman in Russia before he was detained. Cho, who has a wife and family in the north, chose not to defect to South Korea for fear of retaliatory measures against his relatives left behind in the country of his origin. Cho has 2 sons, aged 3 and 5, with his new family in Russia, but is at risk of deportation. Why? Because Russia cooperates with Pyongyang. Oh yes, Russia. Remember, they cooperate with Iran. They also cooperate with North Korea. So, and Pyongyang has deployed about 30,000 North Korean state workers to toil away at construction sites or logging camps for marginal pay in Russia. Oh yes. What can I say? And North Korea is planning to dispatch more state workers abroad in 2017. They are doing this because their economy is suffering. All right, folks, I will have more for you tonight, but I've got a couple of audio clips that I really feel speak for themselves. We're going to play just a couple of them. And this was President Trump at CENTCOM today, talking about military spouses and families.
Let me also recognize the military families and spouses who bravely shoulder the burdens of war. I want every military family in this country to know that our administration is at your service. We stand with you 100%. We will protect those who protect us, and we will never, ever let you down.
And if he lives up to that promise, I will be thrilled. All right, 2 more audio clips.
We will defeat radical Islamic terrorism, and we will not allow it to take root in our country.
All right, I like that. President Trump called a spade, radical Islamic terrorism. 1 more clip.
Freedom, security, and justice will prevail.
Freedom, security, and justice will prevail in this country. All right, folks. I told you this was going to be a short show. I wasn't kidding, because guess what? I'm out of here!